Coming to get you, Barbara.
The Fear Central Radio Show. Warning, our content may include spoilers and is intended for mature audiences.
Hey, fellow horror fans, welcome to the Fear Central Radio Show. I am your host, Mike, and this week I've got joining me...
Paul.
Tim.
Monica.
Heather.
Billy Joe Jim Bob.
Billy Joe Jim Bob. Yep, that's me today.
Juan Gonzalez Martinez Ramirez.
The third.
The third.
Yeah.
And Cortana.
Yeah, she's here.
She's here.
Siri.
Just keeps asking me if I need help.
Yes, there's a couple of series.
The only one we don't have present is Alexa.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, we don't.
No.
Wait, I've got Amazon Music on mine, so...
Actually, I have Alexa on my phone.
There you go. We're all represented.
We are all
Everybody, we're recorded,
yeah.
and everything is spying on us.
Yes. And everything's good. So, last week we talked about phobias.
Mm-hmm.
And how things made us scared.
Yep. And itchy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, since this week, new movies have come out, one being Slenderman. We thought we would...
Slenderman?
Slenderman.
Bob Slenderman.
Uncle Bobby.
He broke those baubles.
Broke his baubles. You bozo.
He is dressed like an accountant.
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we figured since he came out this week, we would dive right into urban legends. Those
Dun, dun,
legends
dun.
of urbanists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why do the urban legends always happen in the backwoods?
Yeah, we never hear anything about rural legends.
No.
Mm-mm. They're all urban.
Oh. You mean why is it called urban legends whenever it's in a rural area?
Yes.
Oh crap! I'm an English major.
Yeah.
I didn't prepare. Okay.
No preparation.
Probably because they were told around campfires is how they were spread. You know,
Well, they have to be spread by a population, and the population is usually called an urban area just by default. So.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you
I
go.
was trying to make a joke and tried to analyze it.
No, not with an English major. Semantics, baby.
English minor. Cheers.
Antivirus?
Antivirus?
Semantic?
They are called urban legends because they are set in contemporary.
Okay. Except that we're talking about ones that are handed down for generations.
Well, that's it. Well, it just says that
Yeah.
the urban is the fact that they are set in contemporary, and that says legends are more traditional, and myths, which are further, where they're set further in the past and largely disbelieved by modern audiences.
Probably because around here,
they don't
in
call
the
me
in the rural area, it's more called folklore.
Yeah, they don't call me fast fingers for nothing.
Fast fingers.
Just so the audience knows, there were a lot of bad jokes made before this podcast,
Oh,
so there might
Jesus.
be a lot of uncomfortable giggling.
That's the danger.
Why is it uncomfortable?
That's very uncomfortable right there.
Where's your crickets?
I was uncomfortable.
It's in my sucker.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah.
Mike, your mic won't stay up.
Just so everybody
I'm looking
knows,
again.
my mic it just keeps.
It is droopy.
It's droopy.
So,
Droopy Mike.
They have pills for
Not
that.
to be confused with Mike that's speaking.
Right?
So if you hear about a droopy mic, it's an actual microphone.
Yes.
Yay for disambiguation.
You got pills for that.
There it is.
That's a lot of pops.
Those are some active crickets.
Those are some active crickets.
That's less about like, a joke didn't land. That is all, we are being attacked by crickets.
It's Dublin in October, right?
It's the cricket pop.
That's the sign of the apocalypse, isn't it?
Right?
So what are we talking about with urban legends? As an example.
Actually, Slender Man is a perfect example then, because that was invented recently.
Yes.
So that is more
Creepypasta.
That's actually more of a. That's actually more appropriate than like the babysitter legend, actually, because that's
Right.
older.
That is older. I was also thinking, like the old Bloody Mary thing.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or if you're into the movies, it's Candyman,
Candyman.
Beetlejuice,
The movie Urban Legends.
the movie Urban Legend.
Beetle guys.
I liked that movie. I had a lot
I
of
did
people
too.
that didn't like it. And I'm
It
like,
had
why?
Jared Leto. How could it be wrong?
I was like, I'm surprised it took this long for someone to do an urban legend movie like
Right?
this.
Well, and it had its cheesy moments, but
I think the
But it
problem
was
was
supposed to be.
Noxzema Girl.
Oh, right. That was the,
The
second
killer?
one.
That was the first one, wasn't it?
No, she was the second.
No, first one.
She was the victim
she's the
in the
killer.
first one. Oh, was she the Oh, that's
She's
right. She
the
was
killer.
the
Oh,
killer.
yeah. Okay,
And she makes it all the way through.
Yeah, Noxzema
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah,
Face
from
of Noxzema.
Mr. Holland's Opus.
That's right.
Oh, 90s pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
This podcast is complete.
We're not showing our age or anything.
So, what are some of the ones in our local area?
McDowell's Hole.
Oh,
McDowell's
that's
Hole.
right.
McDowell's Hole.
You want to explain McDowell's Hole?
Who knows it best to explain it?
Not me.
You said you
I did.
typed up a book.
I did type up a book.
He didn't write a book, but he typed it up.
I looked at the book.
He plagiarized a book.
But I'm not for anything but my own personal educational use.
Okay.
I know the gist of the story, but I don't know the exact details.
Let me see if I actually have it accessible. Don't tell me to sign in. I've signed in already.
Help him out, Cortana, or OK Google, or Alexa.
One hot, humid morning during the summer of 1855, a group of commissioned Texas scouts searching for a band of raiding Comanches. Those are Indians, just so you know.
Raiding Comanches?
That's what it says. Rumored to be in the territory, rode their horses along a creek bed in northern section of the district of Milam, later known as Erath County. They stopped at a large watering hole to rest and water their tired animals. Suddenly, from the protection of the lazy creek, the men could see black smoke rising over the hill about 300 yards to the southeast. Quick investigation. The men found a young couple brutally murdered, laying in the yard of their small burning cabin. Not far from the couple lay the body of a small boy. All three had been savagely tortured, killed, and scalped. The naked body of the infant was later discovered about 50 yards from the house. Her small lifeless body was found full of thorns and with a rope tied around her feet. She had been drugged to death through the cactus. Ow. If anybody who's ever been poked by a cactus, that's terrifying.
That's going
I
to hurt.
fell in a cactus patch.
It's not fun. It's
Well, I meant fun sarcastically. Yes, it's not fun.
The scouts rode back to the water hole on Greens Creek and buried the remains of the pioneer family who lost their lives in such a cruel and senseless manner. However, the tragic event would not be the last to take place at what would be known as McDowell's Hole. Let's see. So then it goes on.
Oh, I thought you were having to scroll past an ad.
Yeah, sort of. But
More after the break.
Right?
Sort of, but there's
After
like
these
several.
messages.
There's not just one thing that happened at McDowell's Hole. It says let's see. One summer afternoon in 1921, Joel and I'm hoping I say this right, Dialetta Hickey were gathering water at Greens Creek, located near their home. On their way back to the house, 9-year-old Joel dropped both buckets of water from her hands. She began to run, looking down behind her with an expression of horror. After reaching the house in a state of terrified exhaustion, the child explained as she cried that a dog had chased her. When her 6-year-old sister told her she never saw a dog as she ran behind her. The terrified Joel explained that she never saw it either. That's what was so scary. She said the thing was growling and snapping at her legs. I could hear it snarl and gash its teeth together. It panted loudly, like it had been running. I kept walking faster, and it kept striking its teeth together right at my heels. But that's also not the only story about that's kind of like the main story behind McDowell's Hole. But then there's the stuff that happens now at McDowell's Hole. But they say, I've never actually been to McDowell's Hole.
But you can't actually get there now because it's on private property. So the closest you can get is the bridge close
when
to...
we were in high school.
I've been
Yeah.
there.
See,
I've been there.
I never went.
It was a
I've
thing when we
been.
were in high school.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's tell us what What supposedly happened?
Well, supposedly, we did it for a birthday party for one of my cousins, and so we actually kind of set it up for scary stuff to happen. So we had like dry ice and threw it into the water, like to make the mist and stuff, and we had like the doll mannequin head and put it in the in the water, and we were being silly, but supposedly what will happen is that if you go at a certain time of night, the woman is looking for her child, like the infant. She goes because the infant was dragged after they were killed, and so she is supposedly seen looking for her infant daughter. That's really the whole story behind it, is that she will attack you, thinking that you have her daughter, and so like that's basically the story, I think.
Yeah.
So can you solve the curse by giving her some eyeglasses?
I don't think so. Now,
Supposedly, from what I understand, if you go out and view it, you can see her walking along the water.
right? You can actually see her spirit.
Along the water there.
right.
Yeah. Tim, you had mentioned a couple others.
I've been there, but nothing ever happened while I went there.
Yeah. What was the other one you had mentioned?
There's one in Hamilton County. It's called Parsley's Crossing.
Parsley's.
Isn't that one of the railroad tracks or something?
No.
Or a hill or something that you park your car, or you put it in neutral and...
No, there's a bunch of those legends where next to railroad tracks.
Right, and then you get pushed over the railroad tracks by children or something, that supposedly a bus gets crashed into by a train, and then you put your car in neutral and it gets pushed over the railroad tracks.
Yeah, that one's most notably about San Antonio.
Yeah. But there's a lot of those that happen, and then you put baby powder or something on the back of your car, and you'll be able to see the prints.
Yeah.
Well, they did something on Mythbusters about that one, and they showed that they've actually developed a way for cars to do that on railroad tracks so that they don't get stuck on railroad tracks.
Yeah, and it's an optical
It's
illusion.
an optical illusion.
Right.
And then...
Where it looks like you're going up to the tracks, you're actually going down.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so when your car's in neutral, it's actually going over the railroad track. Anyway. And then the fingerprints on the back of your car is actually from the oil of your own fingers. It just shows up after it's kind of blown off.
Okay.
So that one's been disproven. But
Sorry, San Antonio.
yeah. Dun, dun, dun. There's one in Hamilton where there's a tombstone that you're supposed to be able to go up to.
Yes, it's one of the oldest cemeteries in the area, and there is a tombstone, and it was 666 is the death date.
Okay.
Okay.
Like 1906 was the death date. And
On
they say-
June 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they say you can see a demon's head come out of the tombstone
Okay.
on the anniversary date at midnight.
Right. Okay.
I've never seen it. Never went to it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Paul? You know any?
McDowell's Hole is the main one that I know from this area. So
Right.
that is the interesting thing about it. It is the interesting thing about urban legends is there probably is one for any area, both state and local or whatever, and that really, it's kind of what cements it is. You can say, oh, so they went to the Greens Creek area. I went to church in the Greens Creek area. You keep name dropping it and go, okay, yeah, I can figure out where they probably was. And I've actually seen the marker trees that Comanches used in this area and in the Greens Creek area, so I know where they probably were and everything.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and a lot of urban legends are based on, some form of truth. Like an event that actually did happen, or something that.
A lot of urban legends are a way for people to explain things that are unexplainable.
Yeah.
And They get cemented by tragedy. There usually is an insight in like almost everything when you're trying to explain barbarism or supernatural events.
And a lot of those that have become so ingrained into history will actually have a historical marker explaining some of it in an area that it supposedly happened as well. So you can drive up and read about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing that, not to derail too much, but I thought it was kind of funny. You were, I mean, not funny, obviously, but you were telling the backstory on McDowell's Hole and like the actual story. I'd forgotten exactly what the event was.
Yeah,
you always just remember the lady looking for her baby. I mean,
yeah,
you would always,
it was like, oh yeah.
When when you're in high school and you're drunk and you're going down, we're gonna go down to McDowell's Hole. You know, there's always something that scares the crap out of you, and you just like end up taking off. Oh my God, we were down there, we saw this.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
A lot of times it's people's own imagination that
exactly.
they've hyped themselves up to.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the inciting incident for that story is very savage.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things that, like, every so often you'll hear whenever people bemoan what the modern society is like, well, things like that didn't happen back in 90s. And it's like, yeah, they did. They just didn't get reported. Yeah. They just didn't get reported in mass.
Right.
Like, what was bizarre, I was playing some selections of Weird Al for Katie whenever we were driving today. She hadn't heard a lot of stuff, and then I played Nature Trail to Hell. You all remember that one? Yeah, the Friday the 13th song, basically. And while she's kind of laughing, and then she immediately breaks into, so on one of my podcasts I was listening, he's like, you know what that was sort of based on? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I was listening on one of my podcasts, and they had like this big descriptor right at the very beginning of it, because it was about in the 50s, a group of Girl Scouts were out in the middle of the woods, and their 3 girls were sharing a tent in a clearing. They hadn't heard from them for several hours. They went out, and the tent was just wrecked, and they found them butchered and raped. And like one of them flayed from behind or whatever, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, wait, you said Girl Scouts? And they just like, yeah, under 11. I'm like,
oh my god,
50s.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. It was like a Girl Scout camp, and they never caught whoever did it. Yeah.
It's like you always, like, every time there's something horrific mentioned these days, you always go, oh, it's like, that didn't happen in my day. I'm like, yeah, I know about some horrible stuff.
Right.
You really would think that a lot of these start out back in the day as campfire tales. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's
a lot
always
of the
been
older
around.
ones, but then there's a lot that are newer, like more towards,
What are you? So, and since Slender Man is the inciting, is like why we're talking about this. What do each of y'all feel about Slender Man? Because there's some people that think you shouldn't even, like, because those 2 girls killed someone in his name, that you shouldn't even like reference it anymore. Like, it's in bad taste.
Well, according to this, it was 3 12-year-old girls.
No, it was 2, and then there was a third was the one they attacked.
Okay, because it says this particular article on Snopes.com says on May 31st, 2014, 3 12-year-old girls embarked on a bird-watching expedition in a wooded area in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Ended up with one of them being stabbed 19 times and left for dead, seriously injured. The victim managed to crawl to a nearby road where she was found, and the other 2 girls were arrested and charged with attempted first-degree murder. The attack weapon was found among their belongings. They admitted to planning and executing the crime, and then under interrogation they claimed that they did it to appease a supernatural being called Slenderman, who was described in a Newsweek article as an evil character who lives only on the internet, but in whom the accused attackers said they fervently believed.
Lives on the internet? What?
Yeah, I don't know.
People are stupid.
Yeah.
It's like he was created on somethingawful.com, so he lives in the internet.
Yeah. So.
Well, and I think we're starting to get into an age where there is going to be a lot more urban legends based on internet and based on technology and different things like that. Like the Black Mirror. series on Netflix.
I enjoy creepypasta. Like it's very most of it's written very subtle. Like it's all psychological and stuff like that. Some of it is retarded. Like nothing happens, and then they're like, "Boo! It was scary," and I'm like, "No,
right."
Yeah.
Because I read one on there about people that went swimming and this thing started pulling people under the water, and it was supposedly some kind of giant octopus thing or
Well, and it seems like a lot of the urban legends tend to focus on what the generation is into, like the babysitter, going and making out in cars, like when our generation, that's kind of what, I mean...
Yeah, because those actually stem back from the 50s when there was parking.
Right. I mean, but you think about it, I mean...
We got rid of
air quotes don't work on
we got rid of those brakes.
Right, but I mean, like back when babysitting was a big deal for high school or junior high age.
Have you checked on the children
girls.
lately?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big scary thing. Or, like the hook man, coming to get your boyfriend. Those are...
Get a hook for it.
That was probably a real story about some fisherman that lost his arm and got a hook. And
right?
His car
dude
broke
was
down.
like,
car
was
broke
like
down.
dating
He's
his
like,
daughter, and he's
thanks,
like,
they
tap,
stopped.
tap, tap,
and then
I
they
like my daughter.
So now someone's going to come through the internet and get you, like... I don't know.
I wish you could have seen the little hand motion she had. It's going to come through my little finger worm.
For anyone that's seen Liar Liar, it was Carrie Elwes' version of the claw.
It's the claw.
You're scared. You're scared of the claw, aren't you?
I've got another figure for you. Can you guess which one this one is? I got the one that said it.
That is the most ecstatic middle finger I've ever seen.
I was trying to give Tim a thumbs up earlier, and I went like this.
For those of you who don't know, that was her pointer finger.
Pointer finger.
It's a thumbs up. Here you go.
He's like, thumbs up. You're like, you have an idea? Yes.
Yeah, creepy. Other places like there's the lineup that puts out stories as well that a lot of them are based on, I guess you could say, urban legend type things. There's even mythical creatures that fall into that, like the chupacabra,
Bigfoot.
Chupacabra annoys me.
Why?
Because it was a reptile when I grew up, and now it's a dog.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know when it changed.
It's only a goat sucker, so you're safe.
Well, so what are those things? Do you remember they used to try to take us out? Snipe shooting,
snipe hunting.
Yeah, snipe hunting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, I never fell for that. I knew what a snipe was to begin with. But I remember in high school the hayride.
The hayride. They
with
used
Monica's
to try to
dad.
take snipe
He was
hunting.
our teacher, and he took us snipe hunting, and they would go. I mean, and people were stupid, and they would do it, and I'm standing there going.
For those of you that don't know what it is, snipe hunting is when you would go.
Yeah, go snipe hunting.
Check it out.
Yeah, go check it out.
Tell us.
Supposedly, they're these little fuzzy creatures that have like really sharp claws or something.
Yeah,
Critters?
Yeah.
They sound like shrews the way they're usually described.
Yeah, kind of like shrews.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're supposedly only come out at night and out in the country, and so you're supposed to go out and catch them with like a bag or a net or something.
A burlap sack and a stick.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
You gotta beat them with a stick.
the older kids would take you out, and the younger kids, and they would take you deep out where you didn't really know where you were, and then they would turn around and they go, "Okay, ready? You have to be really quiet and sneak up on them, and then like hit them with the stick, like
Put them in the bag.
Put them in the bag." And so, like, while you're like sneaking up on these things, they sneak off and leave your ass out in the woods.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're out there and you don't know what the heck you're doing, and
It's a life lesson.
It's a life lesson.
The real snipes were in here the whole time.
that's right. That's right. So yes.
But just to be fair, there actually is a bird called a snipe.
Well, yeah, there's a bird called.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, but that's not.
Yeah.
What
But it's not around here.
No,
No.
That's not the type of snipe.
Yeah.
that's not the right thing.
The type of snipe.
A snipe is any of about 26 wading bird species.
Waiting.
Wading.
Wading.
W-A-D-I-N-G.
Waiting.
Wading
Okay,
in the
gotcha.
water.
They're waiting.
I thought you said waiting. I was like, what are they waiting on?
They've got inflatable.
For you to catch
they
them
got
with a bag.
inflatable things they put on their wings.
Oh yeah, there you go. They got birdie life jackets. Awesome.
They're characterized by very long, slender bills and crypsis or camouflage plumage.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So woodpeckers with
So if someone
camouflage.
decides to take you out into the middle of a field and says you're going snipe hunting,
Don't do it.
don't do it because
Don't do it.
there ain't no birds out there waiting.
They gonna leave your
They're
ass.
gonna leave your ass
They
out
go-
there.
Yeah, they're waiting for bags
Yes,
to be
but-
wrapped around
But
them.
if you want a life lesson, then yeah, by all means, go.
Yeah.
Right?
Take someone
Go.
snipe
Right?
hunting.
Yeah.
Take someone snipe hunting.
Just
yeah.
you don't be the snipe hunter. Right?
Yeah.
The snipe.
Right.
Don't be the one that's like, oh yeah, let's go. That sounds cool.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's not cool. I
No,
promise.
it's not cool. I'm surprised they haven't come up with a game app for that.
Oh my god, that would be awesome.
You know, they just came out with that, right?
What?
Since you said it out loud. That
Yeah, someone's
it's on
got it
there
now. They're
Someone's
going to make $1
got it
million
now, yeah.
and not give me any of it.
Right?
I know. That's how it works.
Snipey bird.
I'll be waiting.
Right?
Having problems there, Heather?
My mic won't stay erect.
Okay.
It won't. I'm sorry. It's just all droopy.
Needs a little Viagra.
It
It's
needs
all
a
right.
little something.
They have pills for that.
I know. Anyways,
Anyways,
okay. Let's
there's
keep moving on.
urban legends on Viagra too. So
I'm sure there are.
Okay, so moving on.
yeah,
So,
Where's your
Crickets.
crickets?
It's not the crickets.
I didn't want crickets that time.
yeah.
Wanted that old rusty trombone.
That's right. Don't say rusty trombone. That's terrible.
If you don't know what that is, look it up on your own.
no, don't
Do not
do
look,
it. Don't.
do not look up rusty trombone on your work computer.
No.
Okay, just don't do it.
No. Oh gosh.
Just image search it in Bing.
Do not image search it, please.
No.
Please don't do that.
Wait till school starts and do it right in the middle of class.
No, on the teacher's computer.
Yes.
Hey, no. Whoa. I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. Our resident teacher here.
Oh.
I'm on eBay looking for rusty trombones. They're probably cheaper than the new ones.
Depends on where you go.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Heather's pretty good at I've never heard of that. So let me look it up.
Yes, but I don't do that. But I don't do that on my on my work computer. I mean, you know.
Why not? Your dad would think it's funny.
He would. He would.
Your dad comes in and is like, "What's that? Never mind. Go back in your office."
Right?
Her desk is across from
Yeah,
his.
but our desks are like 10, like maybe 5 feet apart. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like right next to each other.
Right.
So I just turn my computer screen if I want to look at something. I'm just like, turn this away from you. You can't see this.
What are you doing? I'm just watching it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. He's just
Watching
learned that. Oh, hey, you look, you're watching it again. I'm gonna put it on. It's mindless. I don't have to really watch it.
Exactly.
I know exactly what's going on. So, anyways, moving
Yeah.
on.
Anyways,
Urban legends.
Is there any urban legends that you guys like to tell? You know, that's like the ones that stick with you the most.
Probably the one that sticks with me the most is one that was actually used at a camp when I was younger, which was the whole a sociopath that just escaped a psychiatric
Oh,
ward.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's been known to be in these woods and you
Not
know,
in these
people
woods.
jump out.
Yeah,
that's
I never went to camp like that. I only went to band
This
camp.
was a church camp.
I only went to band
Oh,
camp.
nice.
Yeah. And they decided that afterwards they were all going to go out with the pop guns where they made the pop sound. What are you doing over there, Tim?
Not me.
So they all went out and played.
sticking my hand in the vat of mayonnaise.
Wow, this one's getting deep.
Great timing, Peyton.
Just so you know, that's the big dog getting a drink.
God, Tim, you're still going.
Is it ever going to end? Okay, we're done.
Bowl empty.
Moving on. Oh, wow.
But anyway, after they did this whole story, and one of the camp counselors jumped out and scared the hell out of everybody. They all went out and played pop guns or whatever, and I climbed in the damn tent, and I was like, I ain't going nowhere. No. I was like 8 at the time, so
Right.
it's like, you know.
It's like, get your affairs
Yeah.
in order. The psychopath's outside the room.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm in a
just go
tent.
do what
I'll
you
be
want in
safe.
these dark woods.
Can
I'll sit in here.
Can I go be saved right now?
Yeah.
Before he kills me?
Right. I have some confessions.
So when we were talking about them, urban legends being related to the culture in which they're created,
Right.
that is more interesting to me. Is like the thing about the 50s through the 70s. It's almost all Mad Men stories.
Yeah.
Like the guy with the hook for a hand, or the guy who kills the boyfriend and hangs him above the tree.
Except for mine.
Which, yeah.
Except for
but-
mine.
Yeah.
But those were told in a time when it was like, teenagers going out parking in Lover's Lane, and, we don't want our
Free
daughters
love.
getting pregnant, and so...
It was the free love movement.
There's that. There was also a very innate fear of people. There was a very innate. Well, I mean, I guess it is fear, but I was like that you didn't want to deal with people who had mental problems,
Right. Mhm.
Like
True.
you
You wanted to
you
lock
had
them
people
away.
like the Kennedys sticking their daughter into the mental asylum after
Right. 'Cause she
crying
could read,
her
right?
brain. Yeah.
Right.
That's on the list of back then. If the woman could read, she could be insane. So-
No, she was free spirited, so they gave her a
Lobotomy.
Lobotomy.
and
Oh.
then put her
And now
into a home.
and then she just squealed and yelled and
Yeah,
was
it's
in
a
a vegetative state.
It's a
kind of
very
thing.
fun story about
Yeah.
the Kennedys.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah,
I knew that
and I
one.
can see, the hook man and the hanging boyfriend and the psychopath that had escaped in the woods and whatever. But what do we come up with ones like Bloody Mary? Go in the bathroom and, look in the mirror and say her name 3 times, she'll appear. And
Almost everybody, the first time you hear about Bloody Mary, like at the back of people's memories, Mary Queen of Scots. But I don't know that I've ever heard that's actually related to her.
let me look real quick, because I had one earlier that mentioned something about it.
Where did Bloody Mary come from?
This one says Bloody Mary is supposedly the ghost of Mary Worth, a witch who was executed.
Okay. I've heard that
Nothing
as
else
well.
is known about Mary Worth, and there is no record that exists of a witch by such a name being executed. Historically, there was a 19th century ritual similar to the Bloody Mary appearance in the mirror. Young girls were persuaded to walk down a flight of stairs in a dark house, holding a candle in one hand and a hand mirror in the other. As they descended the stairs, they were supposed to catch a glimpse of either their future husband or a skull. Seeing the skull was the omen of an early and marriageless death.
No,
That sucks.
the marriageless part is the scary part.
I know.
Oh no,
I'm going to be marriageless.
you're gonna die early. Yeah, but marriageless.
And I could see that probably a lot of legends stem from stuff like that, too. Mm-hmm. As we talked about with superstitions. I can see some of them turning into this kind of a lore that
yeah,
passes down through time.
yeah. The interesting thing is, like, if you stop and think about the way that witches were tried in America, almost everybody has the image wrong. Like, if you stop and close your eyes and, like, imagine a witch trial and a witch execution, you're always like, yeah, and then they burned them at stake. No, that wasn't America.
No.
That wasn't.
No, America
we're
did more the
related to that
hangings.
century.
Yeah. Americans were more like the hangings and
Hanging was it?
stuff
and
like that.
most of them were not done in Salem. Most of them were done to the next town 20 miles over. So
Wasn't it because Salem was the largest court at the time, and
Yeah,
so they
it,
ended
like-
up going there?
well, it sort of inherited the name
Where's our
along with the
historian?
county. She's in Decatur.
Okay. All right. So yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Heather,
yeah.
you had an interesting
tell
one
us.
to tell us
Okay,
about.
so, and a lot of people don't know about this one because Paul did not, and I had to tell Mike,
yeah.
is the Black-Eyed Children.
Okay.
Okay, well, so it says that the Black-Eyed Children are an urban legend of supposed paranormal creatures that resemble children between the age of 6 and 16 with pale skin and black eyes. And I mean, just like their entire eyes black, like the iris, the the white,
Like they're wearing black scaleras.
Yes. And they've reportedly been seen hitchhiking or panhandling and encounters on doorsteps of residential homes. Okay, and it says that the tales of the black-eyed children have existed since the 1950s. I cannot find anywhere that is actually shown them in the 1950s.
Yeah, because the only thing I've seen is...
The closest I found is 1996.
Yeah.
A Texas reporter, his name was Brian Bethel, he had a ghost-related mailing list, and he apparently had 2 encounters with the black-eyed children. And he actually wrote a story about it in the Abilene Reporter News,
Okay.
which is not too terribly far from here.
Nope, we get that paper every once in a while.
Yeah. I couldn't find the story on their archives. And so I don't know what it is. Okay, so that was in 1996, 97. Well, then he retold it in 2012 on the reality show Monsters and Mysteries in America.
Okay.
And so then it kind of got this kind of internet following, and supposedly what they do is they look like children, but their eyes are completely black, and I've read lots of stories about supposed encounters of them, and supposedly, like, if there was one where it was an older man and he had his doors open, like his screens were shut but his doors were open. Well, so he hears something outside, so he goes to the door, and it's these children on his porch. He lives out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Well, they kept asking, can we come in? Can we come in? Can we get a ride? And he kept telling them, no, go away, go away, because he just had this really, really terribly bad feeling.
Right.
Well, so he finally shut all the doors and just kept telling them to go away, go away, go away. They finally went away. But it was like this deep foreboding feeling of, panic and dread with these children standing on his porch.
Right.
And so far, everything I've read has been, the people are usually alone when the children come. It's usually to the door. They knock on the door. Just if you in the art, when you read them, they say don't. If you get the foreboding feeling, don't answer the door. Mm-hmm. Well, duh. I mean, it's the times we live in. But and for some reason, I guess because of the pictures of these children, because
right.
Children are supposed to be, sweet little angels, and I mean, in most people's eyes, when they look, they can be sweet, and they can be,
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then you see the pictures, and they're like these children, and their eyes are completely blacked out, and they just have this kind of blank stare on their face. They're kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And it's caused some nightmares for me.
I mean, I almost
not
imagine them...
Not as fun as the one last night, but we'll totally get into that one later.
To me, I kind of actually imagine them as like those old photographs in the late 1800s or whatever. Them taking pictures of the dead babies, and then the small children after they have died, and it looking like that with black eyes.
Right,
is how I picture it.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, so it's like I don't know, like where it started, because I can't find anything from the 50s, and I can't find the article that was actually written about them. But maybe I'm just not looking correctly or knowing where to look, and
It could be, somebody said, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that. It's sometime in the 50s," and nothing after actually was.
Right. But I mean, I don't understand. I mean, why? How did it come about? You know what I mean? Like, how is something like soulless, paranormal, alien children coming to your door, taking your soul? How does something like that come about?
Well, if we think about the play on the older ones, don't go parking with your boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Maybe this was some kind of a story that came about of, don't open your door for strangers. Don't open your door for strangers,
children or not.
Well, like I was saying earlier, you had a lot of a whole lot of tales that were like popularized that were about the madmen. Like this particular story, I just now hearing about. Like it might have come up earlier, but it was popularized more recently.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like I said, I hadn't heard about it until after Slenderman.
And that's the thing. That's sort of the thing I like about creepypasta in general is it's really unnerving and not like it's not like scary in the traditional sense. It's not like and then someone died or and then someone jumped at somebody. If you deal with Slender Man, like the mechanics of Slender Man is that he will if you keep looking behind you, he keeps getting closer, right? Like that was the mechanics of it,
Right.
Yeah, it's just like the idea of something moving out of your peripheral, like it's the unknown, like
Right.
it is straight up. He is coming to get you when you're not looking.
To me, it seems like it's almost like a modernization of Bloody Mary. As opposed to going to the mirror and saying her name 3 times,
Right.
you go on the internet and he may appear behind you, or whatever.
Right.
The urban legend, I don't know, does it have anything to do actually with the internet? It was invented on the internet, but I don't remember the story have anything to do with the internet.
The Black-Eyed Children? Oh, look, I
Unfriended
found
was
it.
kind of based on it, wasn't it? No,
I found the story.
from the 50s.
No, the one from the Abilene,
Oh,
whatever that is, the Abilene Reporter News.
Yeah.
And it was supposedly an encounter he had with them. Hold on. Yeah, let's just keep talking.
okay. I just didn't want crickets,
So, with stories like Slender Man and that, it's kind of interesting in that it's all about the unknown. And like with I understand that because in our society we have Google at our fingertips.
Right.
We have Fastest Finger over there who's going to immediately
Right.
like be there to fact check
Look,
for us.
here I am. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are things that are unexplained because no human faculty, no person has been able to appropriately record what this is.
Right.
Right.
And in a lot of cases that I've read, it says that they're like almost paranormal. And then in a few that I've read, they said that they seemed more like vampire children. You know what I mean? Like, and then others say they're like a cult. You know what I mean? It's like a cult of these, paranormal
Right.
vampire kids. I mean, I don't know, but the thing about it is they want to come in and you cannot let them in. Like they just they cannot come in your house unless you tell them it's okay to come in.
Which is almost vampiric.
Which is yes, very much so.
But
So
does
what
it
happens if they do come in?
ever, yeah,
Nobody knows.
I don't.
does it
I
ever
don't.
say what
It doesn't
happens
really
if you do
say. I
let
mean,
them in?
Maybe they're leprechauns and you get a whole bunch of money if you let them.
maybe,
Yeah.
but I'm not
Could be.
gonna. I'm not gonna open my door for some
Pro
random
tip
children.
from Fear Central:
Dude.
let random kids
Just
into
another.
your house.
Just
If they
another
have black eyes.
reason not
if
to
they have black
support
eyes.
trick or treating.
I mean, if
Yeah.
there's like some kids
Buy your own
like,
kids'
help, I'm lost or whatever, it's like, no, you ain't gonna give me any gold.
Yeah, but the problem with these kids is that they are very pale and they have the black eyes, completely black eyes. So it's not like it's any kind of creepy door.
It's not a normal
that's what it was.
Creaky
Okay.
door. Yes.
I didn't know if it was
So I
one
mean,
of the
it's
dogs
not
whining.
like little Billy Joe from next door coming over to ask if he can
And-
play with your children.
You made a point. It could be something along the lines of anti-Halloween
Yeah.
kind of, trick or treating. Don't let these kids in; they're evil. Don't answer your door with a bowl of
Or
candy.
it could actually be true, and if you let them in, they kill you because there's no stories of anyone
Right.
that
Exactly. And it's
Survive.
has let
in
them
this
in.
article by Brian Bethel, he says, "What did I see? Your guess is literally as good as mine. I've had everything from vampires to demons to ghosts to aliens to a somewhat detailed hallucination as possibilities." So he doesn't even know what he actually saw.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's not like, you know what I mean? And it kind of like, for me, because I live in the country and it's always really dark outside, and I tend not to turn on the light because we have bugs that fly and bite. And so, and some of them don't bite. Some of them just land on you, and it's really creepy.
Yeah.
June
June
bugs.
bugs.
Yes. Yes.
June
So,
bugs are terrifying in the middle of the night.
they are.
Especially when they smack
Sticky
you in the
and
head and
pointy.
you don't even know what was there.
Yeah. So,
Where the hell did that come from?
Right?
usually you can hear them buzzing, but, a lot of times you
And
can't.
then
But-
they whack you in the side of the head.
Yeah. And
Get
so
caught in
going
your hair.
outside to let the dog out, or you know what I mean,
Right.
and you're sitting out there, you're by yourself, the dog's in the yard, and you're
Yeah.
like, kind of a little creepy,
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
But
And it was something you said a minute ago that really made me think. A lot of the urban legends that you hear of today are paranormal.
Yes.
You know, you got the lady in white walking down the road, or you know, that kind of stuff. Don't go in this house because it's.
And we have one of those close by here, anyways. Between here and Clariette, there's a house just after you go over the bridge. You get the big turn. They've actually, I can't remember. There was at least one person, like a lawyer out of Fort Worth, decided he was just gonna drive. He was getting away from it all. Something, I don't know. He was depressed and all this stuff. Well, apparently he stopped on the side of the road, went in that house, and hung himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I need to get my dad to tell y'all the story about when him and my neighbor over here, his best friend, went into the house.
Oh.
Yes, I need to have him tell you that story because it's very creepy.
Okay.
And it makes you think when you drive by that house on your way to other towns. So you're going, yeah, ain't stopping there.
No.
What year was that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'll have to ask my dad.
A long time ago.
Long, long ago. Far, far away.
Yeah.
A long, long time ago.
A long time ago, in a county far away.
Oh, no. It's in our county. It's not far from where we live.
Nope.
So,
Anyways. So,
Yeah.
Urban
It makes you
Legends.
ponder over yonder.
It does
Yeah.
make you ponder over yonder.
if you are really into
Urban
legends, myths, and all that, one place you can go to get a lot of actual historical information on a lot of these is over at lorepodcast.com,
Yes.
which is hosted by Aaron Minke, which he's also
Mankey.
yeah.
Love it. I love lore.
It's a great
It's a
podcast.
great.
It's great.
He actually
Yeah.
even has a season of it on Amazon Prime,
Yes.
where they actually reenact. And
like-
season 2 should be coming out sometime this
it's
fall.
like
Yay, I'm
it's
so
like
excited.
the first season is like 6 episodes and represents maybe 12 episodes of the podcast because
Yeah.
he like
Yeah.
condensed stories down.
Yeah.
Right.
There's like 2 stories per
Yeah,
episode.
something like that.
But he takes it more than just the average person. I mean, he does his research,
Right.
and gets to actual, historical data that could explain how some of this starts.
It's
Right.
not very much opinion. It's very, very fact driven.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
And just
Yeah.
like in House, it's always lupus. On Lore, it's almost always the Irish.
yeah, it's
Right.
true.
Yes.
It's like, hey, is there something awful related to like little creatures and paranormal things? The Irish came up with it.
Right?
What was the one we listened to that time that was very thought provoking? It was one of the first ones in the first season. Was
Was
it
that the one about the sheep?
Yes,
The werewolf?
werewolf. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I like that one. You're talking about
So-
you're talking about the man who came to the village or whatever. and they
Well,
think he's a werewolf.
a guy, I forget what exactly it was. It's like a guy watching his sheep. There was another guy there that like killed one of his sheep, got naked and pissed in the
Yep.
field.
Just in a circle.
Yep. Okay.
It's like, yeah, that sounds like some of
Yeah.
the guys around here.
Yeah.
Right.
So check it out. You can also
we went to
catch
high school
him.
with some of those guys.
Right?
You can also subscribe to his podcast.
Not sure some
and
of
some
them
of
know
the
what a
same
circle
places
are.
you can subscribe to ours,
Right?
which would be iTunes, Google, Spreaker. I don't know if I've seen him on anything other than those.
No.
But he's probably got a list on his website,
Right.
where you can go to subscribe to his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If you're already subscribed to one of ours on one of those 3 at least, you can go over and subscribe to his as well. And the best way to really get to where you can go to subscribe to ours is to go to our website, fearcentral.net.
Yes.
We've got a whole list right there on the radio show page that you can click on, and it'll take you directly to where you can subscribe.
You can listen directly on the website.
You can
too.
actually listen directly on the website, but if you're someone that goes on the go and needs it on your phone or whatever, plug it into your stereo and listen to stuff while you're driving. That's a pretty good way to do it.
on your blue teeth.
Blue teeth, yes.
Or on the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
Find us on the YouTube.
With
turn
captions.
turn on the captions.
Yes, if you want a good laugh.
Turn on the
The
captions.
automated captions for us are hilarious.
YouTube don't understand us.
Don't do it.
Don't know how to speak no Texan.
And please, on any of these, specifically iTunes, go and give us a rating and a review, and that will help boost our popularity, which will then help us spread around to more and more people.
Yes. Like herpes.
Yes, because it follows.
Like
Oh,
craft
Jesus.
herpes.
Yeah.
All right.
So, otherwise, if you have a local legend in your area that you would like to inform us of, you can do that on our Facebook page, our Twitter page. Twitter page, that sounds like a thing from a Disney movie. Twitter page.
Twitter-pated.
What's Twitter-pated?
Twitter-pated. Twitter-paged. Instagram and Tumblr. Trying to think, is that it?
Find us on Facebook,
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Tumblr.
Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Those links are on the website as well.
Yeah, there you go.
So-
Yeah.
Just follow it. Go to the website. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
Follow us
Everything
on
you
all of those.
Yeah, I think
Right?
we have a Pinterest too. I don't know.
I have no idea. I've not seen it on Pinterest.
I think we do. I don't
I would
remember.
love to look it up, but
Yeah.
my cellular device has died.
Oh, has it dead?
It has died.
Okay.
It is dead.
So anyway,
Thank God.
Urban Legends this week, and don't forget to go check out the Lore podcast as well.
That's right.
Head over to fearcentral.net to subscribe and follow us on various social
There's
interactions.
one we talked about that we didn't cover.
Which one?
Cropsey.
That's true. If you like documentaries about these things, there are 2 documentaries done by the same director. The first one he did was based on a local legend on Staten Island called Cropsey.
Yes.
And then he did a second one called Killer Legends, where he goes around and I think 3 out of the 5 he talks about are in Texas alone.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's on Prime Video.
Yeah, I know it's on Prime.
Both of them are.
I don't know if they're on Netflix anymore. They were at one
I saw that.
time.
That's me and you.
I think
right
they're
there.
on Hulu too.
Are they on
maybe.
Hulu?
Yeah.
So check his out. I wish I knew the director's name off the top of my head.
Josh Zeman
Josh Zeman.
Joshua Zeman.
Isn't it 2?
And Barbara
There you go.
ran. I'm not even going to attempt to say
Well,
her
you're not
name.
going to murder her name?
I'm not.
Well, that's
so
nice.
I would prefer not to.
Yeah.
Cropsey in particular is very.
Yeah.
It's very boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good, especially some of the historical stuff that he finds out about an actual serial killer in the area that could fit.
That was
Right.
related to an urban legend shared by the
Yes.
kids in his community.
Yes. So.
Yeah. So there you go, Urban Legends. Don't forget to subscribe and rate and review.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Rate and review. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and all the other social platforms. You can get to all of our stuff right on fearcentral.net. And we'll see you all again next week. And as always,
Stay scared.
Fear Central is a product of Thoughtbox Studios. For more information, visit thoughtboxstudios.com.